Welcome to Yildiz Readings 5D. We're here to cover your Divine Feminine update for this week. For those of you that don't know, I'm your host, Yildiz from Yildiz Readings. Now, on this occasion, we are going to go into the abyss together, Divine Feminine to Divine Feminine, or for those of you that are cross-watching, to see what is up in your reading. Now, we have gone through some challenging weeks, and we do have the cards ready to go. So we're going to dive into it straight off the bat and see what directly is coming up. Now, for some of you, it could be that you are feeling as though you have been in this supercharged emotion. Now, it was weird because one of the things that came to mind was the key to life, and it was like this divine protection, this kind of place in which life felt that it had been spinning ever so fast. And we are in the midst of moving into eclipse energy, which for many of us, we may have felt this energy already, and some of those areas might have been coming up. For those of you that don't know, we do actually cover astrology. I haven't been able to do a lot of it on the channel as yet, but it is the direction we will be going. And that's to really guide you through both your ascension process, but really to keep you kind of in the loop about what is coming up. And it is going to be quite different to maybe what you have seen on different channels, obviously, because I'm a different person. So what I can see here, like I said, I have been feeling as though life for you has been spinning at 100 miles an hour. Now, for those of you that don't know, I am a psychic medium. So for me as per se, I don't generally need the cards, and I do move through with my psychic energy and intuition. So what I'm seeing is almost this feeling that your world's spinning. Like you could have been very busy. There could have been things coming at you. It could have been the emotions and also the ascension part that feels as though something's pulling you back. And that pulling you back, it's like, you know, you're trying to get out of this holding brace, this holding pattern. But it does feel as though things are spiraling quite out of control. Now, it does feel as though you are wanting to be this more, I would say, oh, how can I explain it? You're wanting to fall back in love with you. You're wanting to fall back in love with your life. You're wanting to feel feminine and attractive, but also the spark for life, appreciated. But there's something very personal inside of you that is shifting. And it feels like a death and a rebirth. It really does. It feels like a death and a rebirth. I also feel the advice is to really care for yourself. And it's not only what is going on the outside, especially for the portal we're moving into towards the eclipses, because things can become quite supercharged. I do look to the past here, and as for looking at the past position, you know, there's a lot to do with Mercury here. Now, Mercury had put a real spanner in the kind of works, and we are going to be in shadow till the end of the month, moving into next month's energy. At this point in the month, we can find that things can start to flow. My only weariness in saying that would be the eclipses. And like I said, for many of you, I do feel this angelic light really protecting you. And we do see this kind of light really bearing down on you. And it's taken a lot. It's taken a lot for you to, you know, and when we talk in layman's terms of ascending, it's a life in general is a transformative cycle, right? So it's when we talk about ascension, arising, ascending, you know, sometimes when we're really tired, we can be saying to ourselves, is that ever going to end? And yes, I do believe so, but not in the way we kind of interpret. So how could I best say it? If you have gone through or are going through shadow work, you won't live there. It will not be forever. That part will change. As to ascending, we will constantly be transforming, and that's natural. That's almost like outgrowing an outfit and feeling as though that circumstance doesn't resonate with you. So I do feel the divine feminine here is kind of has been on pause, and as we are picking up on the energy future tense, what we can find is things can be intellectual to the point where if we do need to make decisions based on our life, we may in fact be less inclined to do so, only because where the eclipses can be quite psychological. Now, it can make us indecisive. I do feel, however, eclipses also can aid us with this in having those things happen. So where we have been stuck, there can be some dynamics that can actually help us shift that. We're also, from an ascending point of view, really spiritually healing our confidence, to do with our bodies, to do with our self-esteem, how we look, if we're worthy. We know we're worthy, especially at a rate of surface level. However, when it does come to the more internalized, hidden dark realms, very scorpionic in nature, that sometimes can bring us by surprise. So I'll leave it at that. But I do think that the divine feminine here is having something crop up, but also is having something come back, and it is very protected. Now, you could be thinking in your mind, and look, the best advice I can ever give anyone, and this has really helped me in my life through my awakening, my twin flame path, moving through adversity, is, self-awareness, really understanding your body and understanding your emotions and being gentle with yourself, but also really requiring of yourself that you are pulling the best and expecting the best. It doesn't mean to say you have to be verbally abusive towards yourself, but to be very in self-awareness when you have had a trigger, for instance. And then when we are kind of in that mindset, what we can say is, well, hey, I'm actually working on myself. So there can be a moment where sometimes we can be quite toxic, and we can have this revelation, hey, I didn't mean for that to come through that way. In that self-awareness, we're being gentle to ourselves, because we know that our intention is to transform. We know that maybe the response came from a wounded place that was given to us like a bad gift. And we are trying to process the best way to actually deal with that, so it doesn't define us and it doesn't sabotage us and our forward momentum. Now, when we're down in the dumps, for instance, we may not necessarily receive positive advice or positive outcomes, or feel very inspired, so to speak, especially relating to life in general. So I do think, especially from this bottom row in the heart space, it was a lot to do with our inner child. Mercury retrograde in Leo, it is that yellow energy, that inner child co-creativity. What do I start? Where do I go? How do I feel? Am I confident? Am I pretty enough? All of those dynamics. And then again, it is going to have this very separate signature. We also found that during the Lionsgate portal this month, it wasn't that you can't manifest. It's that some of those things were difficult during that time, especially from a transit perspective. The other thing is, as we are moving forward, if we can sometimes realize that rejection is the universe's protection, then when we're experiencing adversity, it can be something in the stars. It doesn't mean to say it's a permanency. It's really just working with what you have in front of you at the time. And it's about accepting that universe is trying to guide you in a particular way, is trying to trigger a situational shift, and they're always going to pivot you and move you back into the path. So you're never going to get off path too far that you're not going to gain that success. It is there to directly guide you. I do particularly feel that what you're looking at might have been some quite difficult things, but I also feel that there is this brand new chapter, and new seeds are going to actually be planted. But I'm also being shown old seeds that were planted a while ago are coming back. More than likely, I would say, in a different way, especially because we did have Venus retrograde this year. We also had Juno retrograde, and they were in very, very deep signs. So any element of codependency or enabling, particularly that our twin might have been in, or us in some shape or form, it was really purged out. And, Juno is a very interesting, how can I explain it? It's similar to Venus, but it's not the same. It's more impactful in my belief. So, moving between two signs for divine feminine, you find that when we have a retrograde in that year, it is going to be quite significant, especially because we did also have Venus retrograde. So a lot of these changes that we directly are going through are going to be really setting the stage for the next few years. And I do think, as we're moving through this, Now that we're starting to really, how can I say it, shift forward, I do think something is given back to you. I think something is going in your favor. And they're asking you to dance in between that divine feminine, to move into the intuitive, the receivership, the woman on the throne. That's kind of the vision I'm getting is, and I always use Little Miss Tuckett on, it's like sitting and allowing something to come to you, allowing something to transform. That sometimes it's just a matter of being to allow that to come to you. I do think there is a beautiful shift that you all are going through at this point in time. Now, we do see the Lovers here, and I do feel as though there is a confidence that it can be a memory. And I do get this vision of a memory that's coming through. For some of you, it could have come through in a dream. It might have been because your attention was quite self-focused due to ascension, that you can really feel this person's energy coming in. And it's funny because I also see their heart and it's pumping very, very, very fast. And it is for you. It's like this awakening inside of them coming towards you. And it feels very passionate. For some of you, I'm telling you, you can have quite synchronistic dreams, especially for those of you that are quite near reconciliation. But we will directly be having some shakeups, especially linking to the karmic cycle inside of September. And some of that at this point in the week really can be panning out. For some of you, it can feel as though without this person, it almost stripped you back to, bare minimum. It was almost like everything was taken. And for some of you, yes, especially for you guys, it may be, I can't ever say further back. It depends on the wave. I feel it's more those of you that most recently maybe had some falling outs or you had communications and it wasn't so good. It was very topsy-turvy. There can be this feeling as though there is some conflict. And I'd say it's those in communication and those that are either in a connection that are feeling this at the moment. And there is an adjustment. This adjustment can take you into shock factor. But I think if you can trust it and you can move back into the real knowing that this connection can't be broken, I think if you relax into that, this is going to far further go into your favor, because I do feel this person's heart really beats for you. And I think this is a very positive thing. But sometimes situations do crop up to actually give both parties the revelation. I do think at times that your counterpart does feel they're quite doomed. And this is more that there's a lot of old stuff cropping up for them. And it does feel as though it's getting them very hot under the collar, but not in a positive way. It's sort of like the angry and the frequency of pushing back, wanting to break the shackles off. And it is because maybe they're tuning into your heart chakra and they're feeling the pain and they really want to connect in with you. There can be, especially for those of you in communication, there can be some misunderstandings, but I do think these are going to be ironed out. And I think once you have this revelation of what this individual is dealing with, for some of you, this can be gossip coming through the grapevine. I think that if you step back and pause and view, I do think this is actually going to transform. Now, your concern could be is that you're facing a choice at this point in time. And, the funny thing is your body's always going to tell you. It's a little bit like a mother energy. And I'm talking more a good mother. One in which has that intuition and that spiritual connection with the child is always going to know without words. And this can be a connection we do have to our intuition, that beyond the ego, we can sense things. And I think if you do tune into it this week, Divine Feminine, I feel you're really beyond the veil going to know if it's a yes or no. Now, when it does come to the journey, if you had been considering tapping out, it is saying go into your intuition. But for some of you, if that is not the right path, what you will feel is similar to what I'm seeing further up here. And I think it was within the crowning energy. It literally felt like somebody actually grabbing onto the abdomen of this individual and ripping them back. And I can't actually directly relate to this because I was at a point in my journey doing a lot of soul clearing, very much being solo, putting myself in the naughty corner to clear things. And not so much the naughty corner as per se that I was bad. You know, we all have light and darkness, but more from the perspective of no longer running from the demons that were haunting me and really doing that shadow work inside. And anytime I was seeking outside myself, I'd actually go inside my heart chakra and go, okay, what are you needing? And by doing that, what I found was I did become incredibly detached. Anytime I had any projection, I would look at it and see, you know, what side I was really having those situations showing up, where I maybe was mirroring that individual that I had maybe a prejudice or a judgment towards. And that aided me in actually integrating and getting into that yin and yang. But when I was doing that and very detached as to what that other person was doing, what I did find at points is I was having a lot of psychic attacks and I was really feeling like I was being ripped back. And I literally, to aid in that process, I would breathe in very deeply and I would blow out and say, if I've got this, you've got this. And this can really balance that frequency so that person can do the ascending work. It is also a compliment because it does mean both parties are actually transforming simultaneously and potentially an outcome is coming sooner than you think. Now, we do have bookings online. All the links are directly below, and we have changed our blog feed. So over the next few months, what you are going to find is we are itemizing our blogs online at Yildiz Readings as well as on YouTube, and we will have different styles of content. So that can be anything down to a news feed to do with changes. It could be astrology. It might be to do with the super chats that are coming up, webinars and events. Our super chats can be found directly on the main page of Yildiz Readings 5D. You can go to that and you will see the video that is scheduled next. At the moment, we are only hosting them once a month. We do have additional sessions within our membership at this point in time, but it is because I am juggling 2 jobs at this point in time, but changes can be coming very soon. Now, what else did I need to tell you? We will be having some webinars and events. And every time I have tried to change these items, they keep bouncing. We have had some updates on StreamYard. So the bookings are directly below. I'll have to look at those and see why they are glitching. There you go, webinars. Yeah, every time I was trying to move them, they were messing with me. So anyway, that's entertainment for you guys. Now, if you do want to get on the list for our Sage in a Circle network, we do have the landing page. And again, as I mentioned, everything is directly below. I will start actually posting things to the feed, so keep an eye on it. If you do want a punchy update, it's going to be a great place for you guys to really keep in the loop as to what I'm doing on the back end and, you know, what can be coming up ahead. We are going to tune into the Karmic Third Party and Divine Masculine next. So if you do want to see those, jump through and take a look. Otherwise, I'll see you next week.